Hey everyone, this video is about Shays's Rebellion. Shays's Rebellion is super important because the event exposed the weaknesses of the Articles of Confederation and convinced powerful, wealthy men that the government created by the Articles was incapable of fulfilling some of the basic objectives of government, such as maintaining order and protecting property. So in this video, we are going to discuss the causes of Shays's Rebellion. Here's the context. Presumably, when fighting the Revolutionary War, veterans hoped that they could replace an oppressive British government with institutions grounded in liberty. I assume that Revolutionary warriors felt that their life would be significantly better governing themselves. Enter Daniel Shays, a Revolutionary War hero that moved back to Western Massachusetts after the war. The problem was that for veterans like Shays, post-war life was not as rosy as they dreamed it would be when fighting to separate from Britain. So why was life tough for Western Massachusetts farmers after the Revolution? Well, before the war, many of these farmers produced enough food on their land to feed themselves and their families. But they became soldiers who fought the British. And the absence of these farmers from their farms created a demand for more food, because people who had been producing for their families were no longer able to do so, because again, they were fighting. So other farmers from Western Massachusetts saw an opportunity to fill a need. If they could increase the output on their own farms, then they could sell the excess crops and hopefully make some money. But in order to increase output, they would need more land and tools. That expansion would cost money. So these farmers took loans from Eastern bankers to pay for what they needed to increase their production. So here are the causes of the rebellion. When the war was over, soldiers returned to their own farms and produced their own food, and there was no longer a need for all of the extra food produced on the farms of those who borrowed money from the Eastern Massachusetts businessmen. To make matters worse, because of inflation, the currency that the farmers did have was relatively worthless, and there was no way to repay their loans, even if they had currency to do so. Many of these farmers lost their farms and even ended up in debtor's prison. So these farmers and their neighbors demanded that the state legislatures stop the foreclosures on their farms, stop imprisoning people, decrease taxes, and print more money. Daniel Shays, our celebrated war hero, then decided that enough was enough, and he led a group of armed farmers to a courthouse where foreclosure proceedings took place. He and his group of rebels shut down the courts and thus, at least temporarily, stopped the foreclosures. Then on January 25th, 1787, this group of soldiers marched to the armory in Springfield, Massachusetts, where they planned to get a bunch of weapons. And then they were going to march to Boston, and as Shays put it, burn and lay the town of Boston in ashes. For people in Boston, that was a problem. More on that in the next video. Thanks for watching. But here's a joke. How did the lobster get to the ocean? A shellicopter.